got my pressure canner clean, and I poured all my sauce into this, I think it's a 12-quart stock pot, thin bottom pan. And as you can see, it almost overfilled it. So out of 51 pounds of tomatoes, I got 12 quarts of tomato sauce. For my canner, it's a 21-quart Presto canner, and its instructions call for 3 quarts of water into the bottom of the pressure cooker. Read the instructions for your pressure canner. Might be more or less water. And then I'm going to put the rack. You cannot pressure can without some kind of rack. Most canners come with it. And then I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of vinegar in the water to keep my jars clear. I have hard water here and they get really gunked up with white stuff. So this will help keep it away. So it just goes in there, give it a little stir. Because the jars are cooled down out of the dishwasher now and the sauce is really hot and we're keeping it hot, I have this water bath canner with the rack in it with water just about an inch or 2 under the ring or under the rack. And I'm going to turn on this water and put it on high, medium high. This is a huge burner, but I'm going to get this boiling. And I'm going to start loading my jars into this water bath canner. And as I use them, I can load more in there to get them hot. I'm going to take my lid. Now I'm going to plop it on there. So that's going to start steaming. I'm going to turn this, even though this is a thin bottom stock pot on here, I'm going to put it on its very lowest heat. Because it's still, I can't even touch the side here. It's still really hot. We want to keep it hot because we're going to do a hot pack method. To water bath can or pressure can, you need the following items. You need a funnel. You need a debubbler. Mine happens to have some magnets, so it takes the lids out of here. So you need a headspace measurer, okay? And you need a ladle. You need a jar lifter. We're also going to need citric acid or lemon juice. You can use lemon juice, but it has to be bottled. It cannot be fresh. It has to have a 5% acidity. Our seasoning mixture. And my little salt pick. We need some salt. I'm using pink Himalayan salt. And then you need your lids or your rings. And then I got my lids here. I washed them with soap water and I rinsed them really good. And I put them in a little pot here with some water in it. And we're going to bring that up to just before a simmer. We got new seals on here, so you don't need to boil your rings. It will destroy them. We just want to get it hot enough to where it's going on a hot jar so it's not cold. Okay? So now we're ready to start assembling. And I'm waiting for those jars to heat up. And we'll be back and start to can. Okay. So we're ready to start canning. Let's grab a hot jar out of our water bath counter. Or mine. I don't know why I'm saying that. Well, you might be doing it along with me. Anyway, here's the hot jar right here. Don't touch inside. You don't want to get any bacteria in there. What goes in the jar stays in the jar. Okay. We're going to put my funnel on here. And we're going to start adding the ingredients to this. The recipe that bowl has calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid in the bottom of the jar for a pint and a 1/2 teaspoon for a quart. There is no instructions about a 1.5 pints, so I'm going to go with 1/2 teaspoon. So we're going to put a 1/2 teaspoon of citric acid in the bottom here. And then I'm going to put heaping 2.5 teaspoons of this spice mixture in the bottom of the jar. Give it a stir because of the garlic and onion powder. So there's 1, 2, and go for my 1/2 and a 1/2. And I'm going to put a 1/2 teaspoon of salt in the bottom of the jar. Actually, I'm going to put a half teaspoon and a half. So 3/4 teaspoon, because a quart gets a teaspoon. I just don't want it too salty. So 3/4 teaspoons of salt in the bottom of the jar. And now we're going to fill it with tomatoes sauce. So I'm going to go to a 1/2 inch space is what we're looking for. So it's going to be right past that first ring, but before the second ring. So I think it's right under the second ring. Let's go ahead and debubble real quick before we measure. Just stir down in here. Try to get all the air pockets out of here. It's pretty liquidy, it won't be too hard. And stir up this stuff in the bottom we put there. Okay? And now we'll see where we're at. We want a 1/2 inch headspace, which is the second notch on this headspace measurer. And we're just shy. So I'm going to take a little bit more tomato sauce, put it in there, and let's see where we're at. We want it to touch the bottom. So boom, right there is a 1/2 inch headspace. Always, always, always wipe your rings. I got a bowl here with water and vinegar. I just pour some vinegar in here and pour some water. It's like not measured. The vinegar just helps cut any stickiness off the rim of your jar. And you gotta always, always, always wipe your rims. This is why people fail at canning, is because they forget to wipe your rims. So say to yourself, always, always, always wipe your rims. I've done it, and I failed because I did not wipe my rim. So if you have a jar or two in your batch that didn't work, that's probably why. Alright, so, and you can see here, there is tomato sauce on that. So even though we had a funnel there, it got it on there. Let's go one more time for good measure. Sure that rim is good and clean. Now put your lid on your jar. I'm going to wipe this off. Keep my hands kind of clean. So we're going to use our lid lifter because these lids are hot. I like to line up my lid with the words to make it look better, but you don't have to be OCD like me. And we're going to put a ring on here. Okay? And we're going to tighten it down finger tight. This jar is really hot. Be careful. I take a wash rag and hold it, and we're going to finger tight, just like that. Okay? Don't wrench on it, and don't do it too loose. You just want it to where you can back off, like this. See that? Finger tight. Alright. So into the canner it goes. I have my canner on medium heat. Just keeping the water hot, because I'm putting a hot jar in it. If I was putting a cold jar in it, I would have kept the water cold. Okay, we're going to do another jar. Let's go ahead, so you don't have to sit here and watch me fill all these jars. Let's just do a regular tomato sauce, unseasoned. I'm going to do it in a pint jar. I try to never touch the rims inside the jar or anything like that. We're going to put our funnel on, same funnel, and we're just going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid in a pint jar, and we're going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there. Okay? That's it that goes in the jar. Now we're going to put our tomatoes in here, our tomato sauce, to a 1/2 inch headspace, same headspace. See where we're at. We'll first debubble. Always debubble too. Get that, stir around, get all the bubbles out of there. Do it with your funnel on so you don't get your rims so nasty. Okay? And let's see, are we there? Are we at a 1/2 inch headspace? Boom, right there. Alright, so always wipe your rims. I'm going to fold this towel the other way. I'm not going to use the dirty part from the last batch. Give it a little dip, a little squeeze, and wipe my rim. We're wiping, if I can talk, we're wiping the top. That's your rim there. And I go on the actual threads right here. But what we mean by always wipe your rims is this top rim. I have heard of people thinking it was underneath, and it's not. It's the top. Okay? That's nice and clean. I'm going to grab a lid. I'm going to make sure it's only one lid because I got a bunch of lids in there. I'm going to line up my words right there. I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to put a lid on, and this is going into the canner. We'll be back when I get this. Well, here, let me show you how I tighten this down. This ring's giving me trouble. So I'm going to grab this. Make sure it's on right. Finger tight. I keep my fingers up so I don't get it too tight. Okay, see, I can just back it off like that. That's finger tight, and into the canner goes. We'll be back when I got all the jars loaded in the canner that the canner can hold. Okay? I'm going to put that one right in the middle. 6 and 1.5 pint jars in the canner and 2 pints. Now we're going to pressure can it. I'm going to put the lid on my pressure canner. I'm going to line that arrow right here up with this arrow that's on the handle. I said line it. I'm looking at the camera. And now you squeeze it close. I do not have my weight on the nipple here. I'm going to crank up my heat to medium high and bring it up to a vent. And I'll show you what that means. It's going to take anywhere from 15-20 minutes to a half hour to get to a venting stage. So keep your heat at medium high, and I'll let you know. That's when this is going psst. Just make sure this is nice and closed. You got your valves down, and you don't have the weight on your nipple. Okay, I believe we have wrench fitness. Ultimate fitness. So we're at a steady sound, a loud hiss sound, and a steady stream of steam, and my pressure canner has locked. The valve has come up, and when I hold my hand over here, it's nice and steady and hot. The book's in the back is what I propped my tripod on. So now we're going to time this for 10 minutes. You're going to vent for 10 minutes. Very important, do not skip this step. This removes the air out of the canner so we can pressure can. You hear that, how it got louder? That is venting, okay? I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes, and we'll be back when we're ready to put the weight on. All right. Oh, tip for you. I bring out an old stool here. It's a tall one, and you cannot leave your pressure canner. Once you start pressure canning, do not leave it. Besides to go to the bathroom, maybe. You do not want to walk away from your pressure canner. So I sit here. Okay? We'll be back. Okay, so the pressure canner has vented at a steady stream for 10 minutes. We are now going to put our weight on. I'm using a gauged canner. If you don't have a gauged canner, then you probably have little weights that you put on, like they're 5, 10, and 15 pounds. I'm at 352 altitude. I'm just right above the water here. So please refer to Ball's Book of Canning on what pound of pressure you need for your altitude. For mine, I have a gauge. So for me, I'm going to put the gauge on and let this pressure canner come up to 11 pounds of pressure. So 1,000 feet or under, go to 11,000 pounds of pressure. And then if you go up in elevation, you'll probably go to 15. But refer to the book. So we're going to put the weight on here, just like that. And we're going to wait till the gauge comes up to 11 pounds of pressure. It's that second black mark past the 10. Okay? This takes time. Do not leave your canner. And as it gets close to there, start backing off your heat. We'll be back when we're close. Okay, I'm getting close to my 11 pounds of pressure. So I've backed off my heat. And I'm going to back off a little more because we want to hold it there. The rule of canning is you cannot fall below your 11 or 10 in this case. I can go between 10 and 11 pounds of pressure. Look, it's almost there. But if I fall below that, I have to start the process all over again. So now that I'm up there, I'm backing off my heat. I'm backing it way down. I don't want to fall below that. But if I do, I haven't started my timer yet, so it's okay. I kind of hold it between that 10 and 11 there. You can see that. There we go. I like to hold it right there, and that way I bounce. That was my husband. Between the 11. And so we are almost there. We're there. So I'm going to keep watching this. And now we're going to process this for 15 minutes. Okay? 15 minutes. And you got to keep messing with your stove while you're doing it. Because see how it's getting almost above 11? I'm going to back my stove down more. And then it's going to fall a little bit. And then I'm going to put my stove up. Watch it like a hawk. Do not leave it. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. I just wanted to show you where I like to hold it. In between that mark. And I let it go up. But I never let it get past that black mark to the right or to the left. Alright, it's been 15 minutes. You see where my gauge is. Maybe. There you go. And now we're just going to shut off the heat. Okay? Do not, let me get back here, see the canner. Do not touch the weight. Do not touch the valve. And do not move your pressure canner. Don't lift it off the heat and move it over. Okay? Leave it alone. We're going to let this come down to 0. And we cannot open it until it's at 0. And this, don't touch it. This has come down. That's our lock button. Once that's come down and the gauge is down to 0, we're going to release naturally. We're not going to burp it. Don't ever do that. This will explode on you. This is under 11 pounds of pressure. Okay? Don't touch it. Just let it go. Go and relax now. Your hard work is almost done if you're following along with me. My hard work is almost done. Although, I have all this to do. And we just had hot wings for dinner that you just saw. And I'm having a rock star because it's been a long day of canning. But it's worth it in the end. I know exactly what I'm eating when I'm eating this stuff. As you can see, the dial is at 0 pounds of pressure, and the lock button has dropped. Ooh, don't touch that. That's really hot. Now we can open the pressure canner. Okay, we're going to remove the weight from the pressure canner. Now, caution, this is extremely hot. This entire pressure canner. Do not touch it. I like to put on gloves when I do this part, so I suggest you doing that. We're going to now open the pressure canner. And we just kind of twist it till we get it unlocked, just like that. And at first, I'm just going to kind of lift it up and kind of set it there for a second. Okay, just to make sure. And then when we lift off the lid, we lift away from us. I do not want a hot steam facial and burn my hand and my face, not my hand. And I don't want to burn my hands. All right, so this did come down to 0 before I started filming. So it's been down on its pressure. Oh, it smells wonderful for a while. Probably like 10, 15 minutes. Okay. So now I got a towel down here, over here. Do not put your hot jars on your cold counters. Put a towel down. All right? It will crack your jars or your counter. This contents in here is extremely hot. I'm going to go right in the middle and lift the first jar out. Do not tip your jars. There's a little liquid on there. Leave it. That is the pint. And I'm going to place it on a towel. And we'll go for the other pint in here. Try not to tip it. It could mess with your seals. Okay? Whoop, it's sealed. You hear that pop? When you hear a pop, that means your jar is sealed. So that one's sealed. The one I just took out was already sealed. So most of these have sealed in the canner. Some have not. So I'm going to keep removing these out of the canner. Sometimes you got to just be really careful lifting them out. I'm not tipping them. And I'm setting them on the towel. All right. We'll be back when we get all these removed out of the canner. Okay, I got all the cans out of the canner. And you see down in here, there is discoloring in your water. That's because some of the juice pushes out of your jars during the pressure canning process. That's okay. It's not like completely red. That means my jar's sealed well. I don't expect none of these jars not to seal. I'm already at a 50% seal right now. So, yay! I have all my jars out of the canner. I'm not gonna touch them or move them for at least 12 hours or until they're really cool to the touch. Okay, I don't want to compromise any of the seals on my jars. And after that, we're gonna wash them. We're gonna take the rings off, wash them with soapy water, rinse them, dry them, and then store them. Thank you for joining me in this canning video. And I hope you like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. All right. Happy canning, everyone. You got to make this. It's amazing. It tastes so good.